Hello members, Baird here, and thanks for tuning into this week's tip of the week. We're going to talk about pitching again, and I wanted to explain the need to not outrace the hands with the club head. And there's a couple of ways to do this, but common ways on tour is to make sure that this angle of the wrist, which we call the trailing wrist, is maintained past the ball. So what we don't want to do is we don't want that angle to change. We don't want to feel like we're helping the ball in the air. And a lot of club golfers instinctively, as they get to the ball for a high ball, they go backwards and they try to add loft to the club, which we call a scoop. What we want to do is we want to trust the angle of the face, which is what we call loft. We need to make sure that we maintain this, what we call form, through the golf swing. So if we say this is the center of our body, if I drew a line from my chin down to the ball, as I get back to the ball at impact, I want my hands to be ahead of the ball. I don't want the club head to get past. That's the first thing. The second thing is to make sure that you match up your left hand and your left hip pivoting through the ball together. So we don't want the body to stop and the hands to take over. We want to feel like the hands and the hips go through together. So it's really important that your pivot and your hands go through the ball together. One thing you'll notice with the great pitchers like Jason Day is they use very little wrist, and Jason Day is a classic example of somebody that maintains this angle with the trailing wrist. So he pitches back and forth, really using the bigger muscles and not using his hands to manipulate the carry or the ball flight. He talks about generating the ball flight and the trajectory with his pivot. So you'll see there with Jason Day, hands are ahead, very little wrist. In addition, for the better player that wants to hit it a bit higher, we want to make sure that we dial the club face open to create a bit more loft. So you don't need to do anything different, but simply dial that club face to say 1 or 2 o'clock, slightly open. We can still maintain that angle, that angle with the trail wrist through the ball, but that extra loft will allow you to lift the ball a little higher. But thanks for tuning into this week's tip of the week.